And I was like, wow, this is surprising and bold. How can a lamb stew pair with a white wine, a wine rioja? And I'm very skeptical about that pairing. And when I have my first bite and sip with the wine, oh my God. It's so good. And they just matched with each other. And I was like, okay, this is a fabulous, fantastic example of red meat can pair with a white wine.
Welcome to Modo di Bere, the podcast about local drinks and local sayings. I'm your host, Rose Thomas Bannister. I have someone very special for today's interview, Joyce Lin of sipwithjoyce.com. Joyce is a certified sommelier and a food and wine pairing specialist. She was born and raised in Taiwan and now works as a content creator in New York City. Joyce makes wonderful educational videos about food and wine pairing, writes articles, and shares recipes, all super high quality content that takes us around the world, but definitely also introduces us to some amazing facts about culture from Taiwan and features translations and subtitles in Mandarin. I'm so excited to continue learning from Joyce today since food and wine pairing is one of my favorite things to talk about. Joyce, welcome.
Yay. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you so much for having me, spending time talking to me. And I really, really appreciate and being honored to be on your podcast.
I would love to hear more about where you grew up in Taiwan. Is there a local drink that you can share? It doesn't necessarily have to be wine or alcohol.
Right. Yes, a local drink, definitely. I think everybody knows at this moment, bubble tea is actually invented in Taiwan, and it has become so popular in over the world, especially in New York, that there's tons of bubble shop in the city. So this drink is invented in early 1980s. And it was, there's a debate who invented this drink first. But it's black milk tea. And then they will add the bubbles, which is made by tapioca balls. And then they'll add in the black milk tea to add texture to it. And it just all of a sudden it becomes so popular in Taiwan or in over Taiwan. And businessmen, they're trying to, there's a lot of Chinese immigrants who live abroad, like in America or in, Japan or, other place in the world. So there's always people who live different country, but they miss the bubble tea. So they bring bubble tea to, the place they live in. So I think that is a very, very special local drink that I am super proud of, and people know about it all over the place. So
my kid loves bubble tea.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, we even got some supplies to make it at
Cool.
home. I think we got some taro powder,
right.
And we got the tapioca and everything.
Yes.
It was kind of hard to make it at home. We had trouble getting the tapioca right. But
the texture
yes.
is super important.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be chewy, but it can't be too soft. Otherwise, you lost that chewiness to it. Yeah.
Is there a proverb, saying, or a piece of slang that you can share from where you grew up?
I actually grew up in a small fishing town in southern part of Taiwan, and we are very known for our seafood. So I grew up eating lots of fresh seafood, and moving to New York, I found it's really, really hard to find fresh seafood, or even go into a local fish market. So I think that is one of the things I missed a lot about Taiwan. Yeah, so a local slang, I actually did a little bit research on that. There's two slang that is related to drink. So the first one is it's called Ho Da La. So it's a Taiwanese dialect. And it's actually from Fujian province in China, because a lot of people, the immigrants from Fujian back in the 1600s, so they carry the language here, and a lot of people just, speaking the language. So hodala means button up. Don't leave any drinks, in your glass. Yeah, just button up. Yeah,
love it.
Encouraging people to, to drink up. Yeah, so that's one of the saying that we use, during family gatherings or, friends hang out, and then just, doing some cheerful things. Hey, come on, just drink up. Yeah, so hodala. Yep. And then there is another saying, it says, ho ju dim ang de. It is also a Taiwanese dialect, and it means the best of the wine is always sitting at the very bottom of the jar. And it also means that whether it's a show, a book, a movie, the best part is always left to be revealed at the end. Yeah, so that's two sayings that related to wine that I would love to share with you all.
I love those.
Awesome.
Those are great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I have to say about the seafood. So I grew up in Nebraska, which is right in the center of the United States, and I did not see the ocean until I was 16.
My cousin, she's the professor in Nebraska University, and she moved there a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's where I went to school.
Yeah,
That's great.
I haven't had a chance to visit yet, but I would love to.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. It's a beautiful state. But the ocean is very far away. There was once an inland sea there, which is what created the landscape feature in western Nebraska called the Sandhills, where I'm from. It was very beautiful, but that's far away in time and space, the ocean. So I actually have a story that I like to tell because I've lived in New York now for 11 years. I thought the seafood here was great, so I'll have to go to Taiwan and so I can get to the next level. But the first time I visited people like in Long Island, like in the Hamptons, I opened up a drawer. And I was completely mystified at all these objects in this drawer. And I said, why do you have so many nutcrackers? But it was the things to crack the crab.
That's right. Yeah.
I just did not understand. We had one of those and we used it for walnuts at Christmas time. Yeah. So anyway, the seafood sounds great. Tell me about growing up in a fishing town in Taiwan. What was the name of the place?
The name of the place is called Donggang. And it's funny that I don't grow up in a family that we fish, but my grandpa, he is a farmer. My mom, that she grew up in a big family, so they will go to, the farm to help and doing a little bit, helping to the family. So the most thing I remember is my mom, she doesn't eat beef at all, because my grandpa, he had a few cows to help him to farm the land. So they had a unspoken things that say, okay, we respect the animals who work for us. So they just didn't eat beef, but my mom didn't require me or my father to not to eat beef. So that is one of things that make me think about okay, there's different culture, like eating different diet stuff that we grew up with. Growing up in a fishing town, I think we have abundant seafood to shop around, and I never think about or appreciate it until I move, here or when I go to other town to college. So I think right now I really appreciate that, growing up or living in a fishing town, it's a privilege to me, and I do miss that part. Yeah, so every time when I go back to Taiwan, I'll try to have as much as seafood as possible, because we had so many, different varieties, and there's tons of good local restaurants. They cook fantastic food. So yeah, I think that's the most, cherished memories that I had. Yeah.
So we're going to definitely talk some more about Taiwanese cuisine in general in a bit when we talk about food and wine pairing. But is there anything else that you wish people in general in the world knew more about Taiwan?
It's a big question. I feel like, Taiwan is a tiny country, a little island, and we are situated in between China, Japan, and Philippines. So, I don't know, like I feel like coming from a small country and then being able to, study abroad and live in New York in a, international capital city really opens up my mind. And I really wanted to, share my culture and let people know about Taiwan, especially the cuisine and the culture with, people around the world, and just let them know that we are beautiful people, and we love to share, and we are very friendly, good-hearted, and just wanted to let people know that Taiwan is a beautiful country, and we have like beautiful landscapes, and each province or county has specialties. And I wish, people can come to visit Taiwan and get to know a little bit about this country.
Beautiful. So Joyce, your videos on your website have this great formula. You start by introducing the dish, which is often, but not always, a dish from Taiwan, including a lot of research into the dish's history. Then you introduce a guest who demonstrates the dish with a cooking video. And you give this really well done, I have to say, breakdown about what wines would pair with the dish based on a number of different factors. Mm-hmm. This project is so cool. I discovered it during the COVID lockdown when you were featuring some friends who live far away, showing videos of them cooking at home. I was really moved. I found it so inspiring then, and I still do now. And I'm curious, how did you come up with this idea to make this project?
Okay. So it's actually, I have to thank Anna Christina. She invited me to join Summation during before the at the very beginning of COVID. She asked me if I can make a video talking about basic food and wine pairing, maybe pairing a dish with from Taiwan, and creating this video and being able to showcase on their platform on IG. And I was like, okay, sure, I would love to, because it would be fun to do it, but it took me 3 months to get the video done. And when the video is done, I asked Anna, do you still want it to put it on the IG account? And she said, yes, of course, we'd love to. So yeah, that's my sort of my debut video.
Anna Christina
Cabrales.
Yeah. And what's her Instagram account?
She work at Wine Enthusiast right
great.
now.
Yeah.
Great. And the Instagram account is called Summation Life.
Summation Life.
Yeah,
okay,
Summation
great. Thank
Life.
You for explaining that.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
So that is my very first video, and at that time I didn't have the idea, so I should continue to doing it, but the idea came to me. Okay, maybe I can do a video introduce cuisines from Taiwan or from Asia, and then I can do food and wine pairing with that specific dish. So I started to ask around my friend if they are willing to do this video with me, and they are super supportive, and so that's how I started this project. And currently, I have 13 videos on my YouTube channel, and it's fun to do it, and I find it very the chemistry between my guests and myself, and also we worked together to get this project done. And at the end, the reward seeing the video up on YouTube, it's very, satisfying. And I have to say we put a lot of effort and time doing it, like filming, editing, and then think about, the wine we're pairing, and then also writing the narrative, the script. It took a lot of time, but I think it's very rewarding. And I really appreciate my guests that they trust me and wanted to do this project with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful website, and the videos are so impressive. I having started a multimedia wine project myself recently, I can definitely see the dedication and attention to quality that goes into the project. You have also all these articles as well. One thing I have to say, just as an aside, is I find it people have a hard time photographing wine in a way that's not completely boring.
Right.
There's this shot of the bottle. I, even as a person in the wine industry, as excited as I might be about those bottles, it's always kind of the same picture.
Yep.
And so when you on your social, or I think in some places as your website, you do these wine pairing photographs where you lay the glass on its side on the table with just a little bit, which is great because that's actually, if you're evaluating a wine, especially during blind tasting, you'll hold the glass that way over a white tablecloth or paper to get a sense of the color. And then you have the food and like some flowers. And I just have never seen anyone do wine photographs as nice as those. I feel like you must have some kind of art background.
I do. I studied art since I was very little, and I went to art school all the way from elementary school to college. So I guess that artsy part of me must coming from that part. I'm very happy that I find a way to incorporate the art and wine together, and because working in the wine at this moment is my second career, so I kind of feel like I don't want to let go of the art because it's in me. And I'm very happy that I find a way to cooperate these two together because I found wine is my passion, and I'm really, really happy that I find it in my mid-30s. And I kind of regret that, come on, how can I not find this passion, a little bit, like earlier? Yeah, because I feel like I came into the wine industry like very, very late if compared to other people. Now I'm trying to, take time and then take it easy and absorb what I have learned in the past 8 years, and then just try to live a little bit because I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself at this moment. So yeah. But I'm really happy you appreciate, the way I compose, the layout, or the way I took the photograph. I really appreciate that you like that style. Thank you so much.
Yes, no, I love it. And I would say too that I can relate as a musician and a writer coming into wine. I mean, I'm still doing everything, but, there's this creativity there that, you're just not happy if you can't use it. It's just sitting there fermenting in not a good way. Right. So, in fact, I didn't expect to talk about music quite so much in the Modo di Bere project, but then I immediately began meeting musicians who sing in dialect. So actually, several of the first interviews that I've done are with these people. And so it's actually, everything's connected. That's what I love about wine. There's so many different pieces of culture that connect to it.
Exactly. Yeah, I do agree. I think wine, it just bring people together, and not necessarily have to be, food and wine. It can be food and music, or, food and book, wine and book, wine and movie, or, in any sort of form. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's just so many things connected to learn about that I never knew I was going to get to learn about, that I get to learn about through wine.
Yeah.
Certainly including languages, clearly, but also geology, chemistry,
Right.
Ancient historical borders. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And I think in that too, you are far from alone from people who are coming to wine as a second career. I think many people, kind of working hard as a young person, just drinking whatever cheap drink is around. And then, maybe you get a little more established in your life, and you start tasting some bottles and you think, oh my goodness, what is this? And a lot of people do make a jump at that point. I do also teach wine with the Sommelier Society of America. And there are many people who are changing careers in this field. So, you're fine. More than fine. More than fine.
Good to know.
Yeah, great. So food and wine pairing. What's the first thing that we should know?
Wow. The first thing we should know is, I think, don't overthink. Yeah, because, for me, I feel like food and wine is to elevate or to highlight the entire dining experience. So, just don't overstress it when you do it at home, because, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you are still enjoying that bottle of wine, right? Yeah. So, there are still a few principles that you can follow. And they're super easy. Like seafood goes with whites that people know, and like red meats goes with reds. But there's always exceptions. And these exceptions are the kind of proteins of the dish, or the sauce you're using, the spices you're using in the dish, the way of cooking, like if you are grilling, steam, or fried, or stir fry, or stew. So that all make those cooking methods you'll always have to think about, because they will change the flavor of the dish or the protein you cook. And also, there's another one. Regional food always goes with regional wine. What grows together always goes together. So, yeah, like Sancerre with goat cheese, and like Austrian Gunner with Schnitzel, and also like beef bourguignon with Pinot Noir. These are like perfect example of, regional food go with regional wine. And there's another pairing that I would like to cover is there is two kinds of pairing, congruent pairing or contrasting pairing. So congruent pairing is the food and wine share the same weight in terms of aromas, flavors, body, sweetness, and also acidity. So think about the balance scale. If we want to put the hearty beef stew on one side of the scale, what would you choose what kind of wine would you choose to put on that scale in terms of the weights? For me, I would suggest a red wine, of course, and with full body, with intense aromas and flavors, maybe a little bit tannin and high acidic to balance the beef stew.
You know what comes to mind?
Yeah.
Cannonau di Sardegna. That's
yes.
That's the Italian wine that is coming to my mind.
Yeah. And I think a good Chianti Classico Reserva would do as well. Yeah, or
maybe with some oak aging.
Yeah, exactly. Or Primitivo.
Primitivo is great.
Primitivo is good too. Yeah. And the other one is contrasting pairing. So that is the opposite way. So the food and wine, the weights, body, flavor, they're opposite to each other. So for instance, Sancerre and goat cheese is a great contrasting pairing because Sancerre is very bright, crisp acidity, has very great acidity to it, and the body is kind of lean. It's not super, heavy or mouthfeel. But goat cheese, on the other way, it's creamy. It has like milky note to it. And when you bite into it, it's like coating in your mouth. So at this time, if you have a glass of Sancerre, then the acidity, the fruit notes, it will wash down all the creaminess in your mouth. So it appears like contrasting in your mouth. Yeah, so I think these two food and wine pairing guideline would, give our audience a very, very basic guideline of, doing food and wine pairing.
I'm thinking as you're talking about how sometimes both of those considerations can be involved in the same wine pairing. I was in Chinatown having some lightly battered fried seafood.
Okay.
And in the batter was just this light note of sweetness.
Okay.
And it was very light and crackly and crispy. Oh, I'm getting hungry.
Me too.
But I drank it with a German Spätlese Riesling.
Oh.
So this is a Riesling with a little bit of sweetness to it. But the wonderful thing about Riesling is it has always this balancing acidity. So it's this beautiful, huge acidity so that even when it does have this natural sweetness, it's never cloying, it never overwhelms because the acidity always comes around at the end and cleans your mouth. We do talk a lot about balancing fat with acid. And so I was seeing that as a contrast, but I was also seeing the sweetness in the wine and this very light sweetness in the batter that I had not noticed until I paired it with the wine, kind of coming out and talking to each other. So do you think of it as having both factors sometimes in the same wine and food?
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree with you because like in Chinese cooking, no matter it's the cuisine from China or from Taiwan or even from Japan or Korea, when we cook, we not always, but usually, it's very often we add a little bit sugar in the dish or in the sauce or in the in the progress of making the dish. So I think wine with a little bit sugar and it always bring out the sweetness of the dish. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it's just I am not too sure how that chemistry works. Maybe the molecules or the aromas or flavor compound in the wine or in the dish, they just click and matched. Yeah, so I think if you want to pair wine with like Chinese cuisine, always looking for wine with a little bit sweetness. That would be a great, guidance. Yeah.
And there are so many options for this besides Riesling too.
Right.
I figure that the people who are really into Asian cuisine must get really bored when Riesling is always the answer, as perfect as it can be.
Right.
Taiwanese cuisine in particular, I'm not too familiar with it. I've learned maybe the most I have from watching your videos. But here's the thing about what I just said about Asian food, Riesling. I feel like that is the entire education that people get about food and wine pairing, about this huge part of the world. I feel a bit behind because most of the food and wine pairing educational materials that I have had access to are very Western or Eurocentric in the cuisines that they cover. And so that's one of the things that also really excites me about your project. I wanted to take a moment now to give a shout out to Modo di Bere's newest Patreon supporter. Jean is a new supporter of Modo di Bere on Patreon, but an old friend. We've known each other for over 10 years when she and her husband and I were all stranded at the same airport in Denver during a major blizzard. We ended up in the same taxi in the snow and have remained friends. Jean, I haven't heard lately what adventures you've been on, but I hope they're all great. And I want to say thank you so much for becoming a supporter and a sustainer of the show. If you're interested in joining Jean and becoming a Patreon supporter, you can go to patreon.com/mododibere and get access to bonus content and also make sure that the show is able to continue. If you would like a free, quick way to help Modo di Bere, you can also go to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review, and write what you like about the show. It really helps increase visibility, and I appreciate it.
In Chinese cuisine or in Taiwanese cuisine, we use a lot of condiment and soy sauce. We probably use in every dish. So soy sauce is made with black beans. They are fermented. So they will also have those like fermented flavor, a little bit like yeasty, but of course they are salty. So like whenever I wanted to pair a dish that is cooked with soy sauce, that's say stewed pork dish, then I'll look for a wine has the same element to it, like it's savory, or it has a little bit yeasty note, and also when it has aged for a little bit longer, it will have some like oak notes, or some earthy notes to it, umami flavor. I'll try to look for wine has those components in it, and that's how I connect the two together. And you mentioned about the sweetness too. So for the sweetness, we know most of the wine are dry, and then also there are sweet wine or like off-dry style. But a lot of wine, they have good fruitiness. We often associate with like ripe fruit note. I think those ripe fruit note can associate with the dishes has a little bit sweetness to it, because it will bring out, or they will enhance the flavor, the sweetness in the dish. Yeah, so that's how I try to, pick up each element in the dish as well as in the wine, and find if there's something similar to it. And then I'll just, let's try if those two can work together, or if they match with each other.
What about the spicy notes? What about when you're using different spicy flavors beyond the basic, maybe a little bit of sweetness helps to calm the palate down after this attack?
Yeah. I'll give an example of pairing a spicy hot pot. I think lots of Asian people love spicy hot pot, and right now it's like going crazy. In New York, especially in Flushing, there are tons of like spicy Sichuan restaurants and spicy hot pot place coming out. I think sweetness, having some sweetness in the wine definitely can calm the spiciness in the hot pot, and also it will like provide a coating like in your mouth. Just like milk. When people say if you're having like spicy food, you can drink like a yogurt drink or drink milk. It will provide a protection in your stomach, and I think wine, the sweetness in wine, provides similar like factors in your mouth, and then it would be able to keep you away from your tongue feeling numbness, or reduce the pain. But I feel like when I had spicy hot pot, because the flavor is so intense, some people would suggest, you should drink, maybe have some Beaujolais, like light body red to complement with spicy hot pot. But I actually don't agree with that, because I feel like if you're drinking like very light Pinot Noir or Schiava or even Beaujolais, it just doesn't have enough body to support that dish.
And the intensity of the flavors could overwhelm the wine. The delicate flavors in the wine.
Yeah. So I would definitely look for something that has a little bit more body, maybe a little bit more fruitier. I think California Zinfandel would be a great choice. And a Malbec would be lovely too. Just look for wine that has intense aromas and flavors, but not too tannic, and not like in super high alcohol content, Merlot would be great. California Merlot would be great.
What about something like a Lambrusco, which would be like, deep sparkling red, lots of kind of blueberry, huckleberry flavors, sometimes dry but still fruity, sometimes with a little sweetness. I'm wondering, though, about the, with Sichuan cuisine and all those kind of intense little things going off in your mouth. I wonder if the bubbles would be too much or if it would be kind of fun.
Well, personally, I would avoid any drinks has bubble in it because when you have Sichuan cuisine, they use a lot of Sichuan peppercorn, and those peppercorn will make your tongue numb, and it's spicy too. So when you are drinking like sparkling wine, the bubbles will make your tongue like even more.
Stimulated too much.
Yes.
Or you won't be able to appreciate the texture of the bubble because there's already so much going on.
That's right. Yeah. It's I think personally, I feel like, okay, my tongue is already in pain and I don't want to have another component to stimulate it. So personally, I would avoid any sparkling.
Maybe a Nero d'Avola, just a really big fruity Nero d'Avola with a hot pot. Let's talk about bubbles, though, and what would be good in Chinese cuisine with bubbles. One of the most classic bubbles pairings is with fried food.
I think there is a very, very famous street food in Taiwan. It's fried chicken, but the size is like a popcorn bite size fried chicken, and I think that would goes perfectly with sparkling wine. Yeah.
What is it called?
咸酥鸡. Yeah, that's how we call it in Mandarin.
Now, what about tannins? Where can you use tannin in Taiwan cuisine, and where might you want to avoid it?
Okay. Tannin, I think tannin is a great agent to combine protein, right? And so if you're if we're having steak, we always wanted to, we can choose wine with some tannin to it, like Bordeaux or a big cab, because the tannin could combine the protein of the steak, and as well as the high acidity, and tannin could cut the fat with the protein with the steak. So I think tannin is actually a good friend, not necessarily a like intimidating items that we think, we want to avoid tannin to pair with food. I think a good tannic red could go very well with stewed pork in Taiwanese cuisine, or mostly stewed meat, and then you cooked with soy sauce, with 5-spice powder, with some garlic in it, and so I think tannin it would definitely enhance and help to cut down all the fattiness, and also serve as a palate cleanser, and then prepare you for the next bite.
So when you do pair tannin with spice, what happens?
Oh, tannin and spice. It's unpleasant.
Maybe we should back up a little bit. For people who are really kind of just getting started in their wine journey, what is tannin? What is that sensation like?
Tannin, I think I can find a very similar example as like you drinking tea. So if you drink enough tea, or you have that black tea sitting there for a couple hours, and you have a sip, and you can feel like the grippiness, or the grippiness on your teeth, on the surface of your teeth, or like if you have a lot of spinach, and when you have enough, then you will feel like, there's like a grippiness on my teeth, and and it kind of
dries out your mouth.
Exactly.
Like almost sometimes people experience it in different parts of their palate, depending on who you are. But it can be this kind of like scraping sensation that dries out your mouth, as opposed to acid, which makes you salivate.
That's right.
But sometimes in the vocabulary of people, just kind of getting started to wine, people will say the word sour. But they mean something's happening in my mouth, and sometimes they mean acid, and sometimes they mean tannin.
Right.
Because I don't think people have the word for tannin. The word is actually astringent, and that's just not something we talk about much in English. We don't use that word too often.
Right.
So tannin equals astringent. And acid equals sour.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And, for people who are just very new to wine, a good way to understand. Yeah.
So another tannic wine I'm thinking of, I have another podcast interview with Roberto Di Filippo of the Plani Arche winery in Umbria. So one of the most tannic wines ever, and certainly also in Italy, is a Sagrantino. So that can be, I'm thinking of a Sagrantino with the pork. Now, what about, we haven't talked much about white wine, and I feel like we should come back to seafood. Is that the right direction for Taiwanese cuisine and white wines?
Yeah, because, Taiwan is an island and surrounded by ocean. So we do have a lot of seaports, and also we have, abundant seafood. So yes, white wine it's a great, options to pair with seafood. But it all depends on, like how you cook it. There is a very famous dish, like we steam the whole fish, but we just use like very simple ingredients like ginger and scallion and maybe just a few slices of red chili pepper, and then that's it. And then you drizzle a little bit rice wine, and then you put in the steamer, steam about 10 minutes, and that's a super, super delicious steamed fish. And for that fish, the flavor is very, very delicate. And so you wanted to choose a white wine that wouldn't overpower the delicate of the fish, but at the same time, like the broth coming out from the fish, it has some ginger and scallion, the flavor in it. So you might be able to want to think about what are those flavors that I can found in wine, and then trying to pick a wine, be able to pair with that fish. So what I have in mind is I think Verdicchio is a great option. Vermentino would work too. And Chablis would be a great option too. Yeah. Or Fiano. Fiano is a great, option. A great choice too.
What about a Malvasia? I find a lot of when I think of I was searching my mind for ginger flavors in a wine, and thinking of something that has a lot of interesting aromatic to it would be a Malvasia, which is grown in many places and certainly all over Italy, and can be made with varying amounts of texture.
That's
into the body.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I love Malvasia. I could drink Malvasia all day long. Yeah. There's just so much there. There's so much there.
Exactly.
Oh, this is so exciting. Let's talk about some of these exceptions. People know these classic basic rules of white wine with chicken and red wine with steak. What about when you want to break the rules?
I remember when before pandemic, we went to Vienna just for fun, and we went to a fine dining restaurant. It's the 19th of the best restaurants in the world. Yeah. So we ordered the food and wine pairing sets, and there is a one dish that it's lamb. It's a lamb stew, but in a clear broth. And then I was like, okay, I'm very curious about, what wine they will bring to pair with the dish. And they bring out I believe is maybe 2004, a white Rioja, Tondonia Rioja. And I was like, wow, this is surprising and bold. how can a lamb stew pair with a white wine, a wine rioja? And I'm very skeptical about that pairing. And when I have my first bite and sip with the wine, oh my God, it's so good. And they just matched with each other. And I was like, okay, this is a fabulous, fantastic example of red meat can pair with a white wine. Yeah, I can never forget about that sensation I had that evening, and just like, it's amazing.
Those moments are really so magical. If I start thinking about some memories like that, they're still just very much with me. They really make an impression. Why do people care about this so much? I think it's because there's these moments where it can be really sublime. One of the first days that I was introduced to pairing was actually at a brewery tour with beer, and it was an Indian dish. It was chicken vindaloo with an IPA. And seeing how these two pieces become something else when you add them to something more. So my background actually before I got into wine was in cocktails. And I was making a lime cordial, and I had put in some kaffir lime leaves and some jalapeno. And some lime juice and some lime peel. And I think, and some agave syrup. I think I was adapting a recipe from the Employees Only cookbook, which is a bar in New York City that I got when I was still bartending in the Midwest and learning everything from books because the cocktail revolution was still just beginning out there. And I came to New York, and I was a kid in a candy store when it came to cocktails. And so I developed this spicy lime cordial. And what I wanted to make was a gimlet, which, these drinks change and sometimes you have to accept the evolution. A gimlet now is often you'll see as a gin sour with fresh lime juice and simple syrup. But actually, the gimlet was made with lime cordial, which, people know Rose's lime cordial, right? And that was actually the original drink. And it was this, packaged product. I still think it's delicious, to be honest. But, people wanted something a little bit less processed. And so I think Employees Only was making their own lime cordial. So when I put in these jalapenos, I tried it with gin, and then I tried it with tequila. And I think, so I made a tequila gimlet.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, I have to make this recipe again. It was fantastic. And there was this moment, the gin was good, but the tequila, something about the combination brought out the vegetal spicy flavors that were hidden inside of the tequila. And it just, like, if you put it on a graph, it just went up. And then the spice, the flavors in the cordial as well changed. So those magical moments. I remember being on the island of Orkney in Scotland. They had these little sugary sweets.
Okay.
And I think I had also a coffee. And for some reason, I also had a dark beer. And I was drinking all of these things together. And I was sitting there and I was crying because they tasted so good. They're really unforgettable, these moments, So I think it's something to not be intimidated by. Well, none of this is something that should be intimidating, I strongly feel. But the purpose of all this knowledge is more enjoyment.
That's right. Yeah, that's why I fall in love doing food and wine pairing, because I really, really enjoy the moments that food and wine bring to me, because it just, like, when I had those momentum that you encountered a great food and wine pairing, there's like fireworks in my head, or there's like ocean waves in my mouth, like, oh my God. Or like you're having Chablis with oysters. You can almost feel like there's a sea spray, like, sea breeze, blowing from the ocean, and you just, I almost tasted the sea. I study art, so there's always like pictures or images in my head when I have this kind of moment, and I want to put into words, or maybe put everything together, compose as a picture in my head. And those, those ways will help me to, memorize those moments I had in my life. And I think it's amazing. That's why I love food and wine pairing.
Maybe you should make some artart about those
right.
those moments.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, like what would the white Rioja and lamb stew image look like? Yeah, that would be a fun series. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. Yeah. Thank you. I think I'll definitely do that. Yeah, and make it abstract.
That's fantastic, Joyce. Thank you so much. So we spoke about your website,
right?
sipwithjoyce.com. Are there other places like on social that you want to point people to, or your YouTube channel?
Yes, I have a Instagram account. It's all related to Sip with Joyce. And also I have a YouTube account. It's called Sip with Joyce. These are, my platform to showcase my passions. Feel free to check it out. And I constantly update them. There's always ideas coming out of my mind, and then, do some like fun and interesting or unexpected food and wine pairing that I wanted to know. And I also want to use this platform to let people know that, there are lots of different kind of cuisine in the world, and they can pair with wine. It doesn't have to be like wine can only pair with Western cuisine or cuisine from Europe. Wine can go with, other different kind of cuisine like Japanese or Korean or Southeast Asia, Malaysian cuisine, or, cuisine from Taiwan, from China. And, China is huge. So they have different kind of, regional cuisine. There's, tons, a lot to learn. So for me, I think, being open-minded and, ready to try different kind of pairing altogether, it actually helps me to learn a different culture, also learn a different language, and learn how the people use different kind of ingredients and then make a delicious dish. So I think that's broaden my mind and also help me to understand, there are lots of different cuisines, wines in the world, and I just can't wait to explore more.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Joyce.
Thank you.
So if we have a listener who is now feeling very hungry and very thirsty after listening to this, and maybe someone who's really new to this idea, or just wanting to get more into it, and they're like, oh gosh, I'm going to go to the store right now.
Oh God.
Where can someone start? What's your best advice to someone who's just getting started with food and wine pairing?
Well, I mean, I would recommend try something classic first and see how you like it, or you can get, the essence of that food and wine pairing. For example, duck with Pinot Noir. It's a classic pairing. Why it's classic? Because it has been experienced for so long, so many years. So that's why it become a classic pairing. So I would suggest maybe try something classic first, and then you can, just go crazy and try something unusual. You might find something new and you like it. Or if you don't like it, then that is okay too, because at the very beginning, I said before, if you don't like the pairing, that's fine, because you still have a very good bottle to enjoy.
It sounds like a great opportunity for a potluck. Everybody brings different food and different bottles of wine, and then you pour a little in your glass and see what you like together.
Yeah, I've done that before. And it works.
Oh, I want to do that right now. Yeah. Let's go to the store. Joyce, thank you so much for talking with me today. It was wonderful. To all of our listeners, thank you. Wherever you go and whatever you drink, always remember to enjoy your life and to never stop learning. Follow Modo di Bere on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for even more unique and encouraging drinks and language content. If you would love for the show to continue and grow, support Modo di Bere on Patreon and unlock bonus episodes. Find out more at mododibere.com, where you can also sign up for my newsletter. Music for the podcast was composed by Ercilia Prosperi and performed by the band Oh. You can purchase their recordings at oumusic.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.